Hello and welcome to my video on how to sequence break the Big Sister boss fight in the Surge. I'm An-Ithyphallophobiac and I'll be your guide. So, there's this glitch that I've found. And as you can see, I've already started it. But I'm going to show you it's incredibly useful for a few things, actually. It's not only for sequence breaking, but just for people who don't want to cheat as much, for making the boss fight a little easier. So as you just saw, I made sure to line myself up with this fence grate here, and the collision mask actually doesn't extend to the entire fence grate. I said fate because I mixed the two words. Fence grate. This actually retracts during the boss fight, meaning that the animation will play, but the collision mask remains for how it's supposed to be. And then you can just walk into these handrails right here. Now, a little tip, which is useful but hard to pull off, is you can actually go on here during the boss fight. Oh god, oh god. You can actually go on here during the boss fight. If you can jump just right, which is usually if you're perpendicular with the handrail, and then you jump forward at just a slight angle to the right or left, depending on which side you go on. You don't have to go on the right. You can go on the left. It's mirrored for both sides. You can get onto the handrail normally, right? And it's a little easier on this part up ahead because you don't have to be you just have to be facing that angle, and then you can just jump onto it. Of course, then you also risk jumping over, but I gotta take what you can get. So just when you come up to this part right here, aim yourself over to that handrail over there and jump over. Bam! You just sequence break, or the sequence has been broken. There's a couple things over here. As you can see, the floor is electric. This will not happen if you activate the glitch. This actually happens when you defeat these arms, because these arms don't fight back since the boss fight hasn't been triggered yet. So what you have to do, now this is very specific, if you want to make the fight a little easier before you take out the Big Sister, what you have to do is, you can't just fight them any order. You have to fight the far one, and then you fight the close one. Alright, and they will not die normally. See, they'll continue doing their normal animations, but once they die, they will make the normal sound an enemy does on dying, which is kind of like the metal, like shing, right? You won't get any tech scrap, and it won't be visible that they died. But I assure you, since I can't collide with them anymore, they are very, very dead. And as soon as the boss fight starts, you'll notice that they'll all die at the same time. And that's why the floor is electric, because they're technically dead right now. Something also very important is that there are actually invisible walls here. You can't go over that edge right there, which is good, but also bad, because it makes doing this jump, if you don't know what you're doing, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You have to make sure that you are aligned perfectly with this, well, not perfectly. As long as you are aligned with this grate, you can make the jump over to the core. Now, you can actually target the core and set up the fixed camera angle, but it won't do anything. The core is invulnerable before the boss fight is triggered, so you can't actually do any damage to it. It does, but as you saw, it does activate this particle effect. I think that's supposed to display on hit, regardless of the situation. It's just hard, it's just programmed in that on hit, core will display the electric particle effect. But this does not actually indicate you haven't actually done any damage, right? Because if you hit it enough, which I'm not gonna do, but if you hit it enough, it will not break like it usually does. The cords will not snap. So, not the most useful thing. And I forgot to mention this before, but the reason why you always hit back to front when it comes to these arms is because if you do the front one, the back one will start attacking you like normal, and that's not the hardest thing to handle, but I mean, I'm sure you'd prefer not to have them attack you. Now, this is the part where you can truly sequence break. If you fall down, if you see there's that little giant hunk of metal underneath this red rod here, if aim yourself at that, usually just try to fall onto that red extension right there. That's attached to the core. If you fall on that, usually you'll be able to make it. The fall does have potential to kill you. I've gone down there with exactly 100 health during a joke run, and it killed me instantly because I jumped. So try to just fall off, not jump, unless you have the health to spare. But yeah, so try to aim for that down there, and make sure that you have more than 100 health, because it has potential to kill you. But that will sequence break it. Now, I have not actually done a game where I've gone to research and development, then come back, so I don't know what will happen to your game, and I would assume that the big sister would just automatically be gone, because there are things in this game, like if you don't restore power to Central Productions B's ops, but then leave and then come back from the biolabs, the power will just be restored on its own. So big sister might just be dead just automatically, because that's how the game is supposed to go, right? Which would make sense. I'm not going to do that right now, because there's actually another thing that I need to show you that is very important. Now, it's relatively important. Usually, you'd probably want to sequence break 100% and go down to research and development. But for those who are very specific, they don't want to sequence break the game. They don't want maybe they think the game will become unstable or something. That's understandable. I would say what you should do is you can actually negate almost all fall damage as long as you have over 100 health. This is very strange. I don't know if this is just for me. If you are not experiencing the same thing as me, I would suggest you play at a much later part in the game where you have tons of health. Like me, I have at least, I think this is about, that's 3, 6, 9, 12. That I have about 12 times my normal, not 12 times, 120% my normal health, so that's about double. So I have about 2,000 health right here. So I'm not sure if this is just something for me, but if you can do this right, which is line yourself up with this, with the handrail, and use this piece of metal up here to stop you while you're jumping. So for example, it's supposed to, there we go. And then, bam. You take 100 fall damage, but you don't die. And I have done this about 4 times now, and every single time, as long as I landed on this platform, I do not die. I also, just for a safety measure, make sure to do a falling attack, because you actually take less damage, or at least the threshold for taking fall damage is now much smaller, right? I've noticed that, yeah, when you're doing a falling attack, it reduces damage and or the threshold in which you can take fall damage. This is also the same thing for sliding attacks, but I have not tested that for falling from there to there. But you will, yeah, so I would say just for extra safety, you should do a falling attack, just to make sure. If your weapon is hard to do falling attacks with, like a good example are the twin-rigged, or, no, not the twin-rigged, it's a single-rigged. Single-rigged are very picky about that kind of thing. I don't think I have ever on purpose activated their falling attack. But yeah, you can just fall all the way down, take a bunch of health damage, but it's definitely not going to kill you as long as you have a vital implant equipped. And as I said, a lot of this stuff is untested, right? I'm playing a new game plus 10. I have 2,000 health, right? And everything is probably much different than a new game for you. So I would definitely suggest that you test these things out for yourself. Let me know if these things work, so write them down in the comments so that other people can read them and figure out for themselves how to do some of these things, right? That's very important. Yeah. So that has been how to sequence break the Big Sister 1/3 boss fight, as well as, I guess, make it easier if you don't want to be a total cheater, but you're going to have to face reality. You're definitely a cheater. Alright, see you later.